Hi, welcome to Invisible Walls 230. No Shane. He's off playing some game with multiplayer.
Tiddlywinks?
Tiddlywinks, multiplayer.
Tiddlywinks XP?
Tiddlywinks of Honor or something. Anyway, yes, I'm Marcus Beer. I'm hosting this week, so don't turn off. We do actually have a really good show. Joining me today is Ryan Stevens.
Hello.
Justin Spear.
Hello.
And Mike Damiani.
What's up, everyone?
And we will have a special guest popping in later once we pull him out from behind the camera. Okay, so we have some housekeeping to talk about, Ryan.
Good housekeeping.
Yes, we have some shows. So tell me, Ryan, what is Shift?
So Shift is a new documentary series that we just started. The pilot's up right now about League of Legends, and I have to give a huge shout out to Shola. He's one of our editors. He's been here forever. He's been here before I was here. One of our video editors, and he had went to Evo a little earlier this year and kind of shot a pilot of a pilot, kind of going behind the scenes of like these events like Evo, which the biggest fighting game event in North America. I think it's probably safe to say. Mm-hmm. And then the League of Legends championship was happening in our backyard, and League of Legends, we all went to PAX. We have a ton of people that played in the office. I
didn't go to PAX.
Everyone except for Justin.
You were there in spirit.
Yeah, Breeding Pool was there. And everyone really saw it. And we wanted to tap into that, but there's esports is kind of a weird thing to handle. It has its own audience. It's very popular, but sometimes it's hard to break through. So a straight esports way wasn't the way to cover it. But Riot's literally across the street from us. The championships were in our backyard, and we thought this would be a good time to try something a little bit different. And it is very different, even from the cameras we used. We shot that for any of you tech guys out there. We shot this all with DSLRs. It's a little different premise. And Shift is kind of about that. It's like, shifting your focus, shifting the shifts in the gaming industry and that kind of stuff. So everyone should check it out. And even if you're not into League of Legends or esports, it's more than that. It's kind of we called it I hate saying this word. It's it's the phenomena. And it's kind of getting behind why this game, this League of Legends game, which is really popular, but it's kind of in a pocket where there are a lot of people that play it, but not everyone plays it. Everyone knows exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's totally within its own bubble. I mean, this is a game that I've heard about so many times, and I saw it at PAX where it's like absolutely packed out.
But it goes beyond the game into the culture.
Yeah.
And it's great because we talk to the fans, we talk to the creators, we talk to the players. You see like the crazy stuff they go through. We go through the cheating controversy that happened, and there's some cool stuff in there, like some pyrotechnics and stuff. So check it out. It's 11 minutes that is well worth your time. And speaking of minutes,
and
Damiani.
Yes.
Good segue there.
Yes,
Good.
indeed.
That is one of the worst things I've ever done.
Mike D. Timeline.
Time?
Rendering time?
All right,
Rendering
so
time. Yeah.
popular question right now, where the hell is Timeline? What's up with Timeline? Where is it at in the timeline?
It is at Marco's editing bay, being rendered right now.
Okay.
That thing, the bottom line is the thing's pretty much done.
And let's just restate, Timeline is...
Timeline is a series that just, if you haven't played a video game series and you're looking to get into like the newest game or just get caught up on like the lore of the series, this is gonna be like a good guided tour of like the story.
I may disagree with that statement. I would say this is maybe an insane deep dive into the inner workings of a game's chronological lore and
what's
whatnot.
the phrase that, I didn't write this phrase, the guided tour of the chronological evolution or some crap that I didn't write that is somehow ended up in the trailer for it. No, I mean, it's basically like, listen, you're going to get like how the games connect together, and in the case of the first episode, it's about The Legend of Zelda. That timeline is extremely fucked up, so we have to kind of like make sense of it. And one of the cool things I thought, like, Nintendo gave out the official timeline, so it'd be like really easy just to like explain the timeline. Here it is, that matter of fact. But why the hell was it so like screwed up and stuff? Why did people like care about it? Why did people like argue about how it fit together for all those years? We kind of just like take you through the history of the games as they were released and explain like this is what it added, what it brought to the table basically, and this is the game that finally screwed everything up. So using a little more contextual history about like the timeline, and that's something kind of the angle we're going to try and go with each of the episodes. It's not just like a strict recap of the game story, but kind of work in like a nice angle about how the story was, like the difficulties in creating it, or so, like like if we do Assassin's Creed, we'll probably like how historically accurate is it really compared, stuff like that.
And that's basically why it's taking so much time to get out, because you are doing way more
3D
than
graphics.
Okay, it is.
Well, I mean, but it's on top of everything. Your day job.
It's like the it's like the retrospectives in terms of like just basic scale and the length of an individual episode. However, I would say this is like the most intense amount of graphics work we've ever done at GT. Like some of the stuff they're rendering in there that you're going to see in the final product we'll put probably the Wii U version of Zelda to shame. Like that little tech demo you saw, like the running gag is like, we think people are going to see this and they're going to be like, wow, like we hope the new Zelda game looks like that. But I mean, that's a little ambitious, but it doesn't look like anything I've ever seen done here at GameTrailers before. And
so when do you think the cooking's going to be done? Do we have a ballpark? Is it going to be up next week?
The longest shot to render, like the master main shot that introduces you to the first episode, which took 2 weeks to render, is finally done. They are rendering. There's a nice mural shot that illustrates how the timelines fit together. That's the next big shot. That's not going to take as long. The current estimate's like 2, maybe 3 weeks to be done. And to be frank, like it's just the hardware. Like to render this stuff, it's taking so long. We don't have enough machines that have the right software. We need a cloud.
Cloud computing.
That might. What's the program that keeps on Smedge or something?
We need more Smedge licenses.
We need more Smedge licenses apparently. So
all right, so it's definitely in the final
yeah,
photo.
It's in the final legs of the getting to completion, and this is a learning process. Like other episodes won't take as long. This definitely was a learning process, figuring out how the workflow was going to go, and we'll kind of like nail it down a little bit. So next time we can have like a more concrete release date for whatever we do next, and
no 3D graphics.
No 3D graphics. I don't know.
Shoebox dioramas.
Can I just say, God help you when you try and untangle the Resident Evil timeline.
That's going to be nothing after Zelda.
After Zelda, I don't want to do a Resident Evil timeline. We're getting a lot of people to ask us to do Kingdom Hearts. That one will be a mindfuck.
Okay.
Yes.
And on the subject of obviously these type of shows, don't forget that if you're in Los Angeles, November the 5th is the GT Film Fest here in LA. That's Monday night.
Yeah, we're running low on RSVP, so go in there, sign up if you're in LA.
The stuff.
We're gonna reveal the gift bag soon, and there's some. I can't say yet, but there's some good stuff in there.
Yes, you will want to come to rummage in our gift sacks. Aye, aye. But everybody's going to be there. The whole crew's going to be there, so you can come and say hello to all of us. Maybe we'll have some timeline stuff to show. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a sneak peek because it's around that time.
New Pop Fiction.
It fits in the timeline.
There will be a new Pop Fiction.
Pop Fiction. There's the trailer of the Angry Video Game Nerd movie. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm sure Shane will also announce next week. So yes, lots of good stuff coming on. If you're in LA, just come down, say hello, and buy me a beer.
All right, Skylander. That's the Archean Conquertron guarding the mine. See? But if you could just break those chains that are holding him up, kablamo!
Okay, our first segment. Last year, Skylanders came out and sold really, really well. And my own personal opinion was that it was cool tech with a kind of crappy Spyro's game attached to it. And obviously, they've just released Skylanders Giants. Mike D's been playing it, but we're not going to talk about how good or how iffy or whatever Skylanders Giants is about, because I think the tech is the cool thing behind this. I mean, it reminds me of just being a kid and the old trading card stuff and swapping those things. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to go around the horn and see what
you owe Shane a nickel.
I owe Shane a nickel. I owe more than a nickel. We're going to go around the horn. That's 2 nickels, and we're just going to see what people would like to use the tech for outside of Spyro or some more kiddie infused stuff. And I'm going to get the ball rolling, and I've said this on Twitter a few times. The 2 things that come to mind for me, first one being Transformers. I think that with Activision owning the tech and having this deal with Hasbro, I would definitely love to see a Transformers game come out That's the last Transformers game was actually pretty good. Was it the Fall of Cybertron?
The last two were pretty
Yeah.
good, right?
Well, the last two that High Moon did that weren't tied into a movie.
Okay.
But I mean, again, you could just see. I mean, having those cars, those cars with robots, to drop them on, and I think that would make for a cool.
What would be cool is if when they transformed, they actually transformed on your little thing, because it'd be annoying as hell to. I mean, all the toys are static, right? There's no moving parts on the Skylander
they're
toys.
figurines. They're not like action figures.
Well, you could spring load them. You could spring load them, so you just put a little button and boom, they could.
But it would be really annoying if you had to, every time you had to flip everything out.
But I think it's more more for the chip. But the other one I think Activision still obviously has a license for is some of the Marvel Universe stuff. Again, I mean, they did the Ultimate Alliance, which the first one was actually quite good, and I think that with the RPG element, those Marvel characters, that is obviously now with the Disney people being involved, that might be more tricky. But those are the two I'd like to see. I mean, Mike, let's go to Mike. You got anything you'd like to see?
I mean, I have a few ideas though. I think the funniest thing I heard, I not an original idea. I actually heard this on the Giant Bomb cast. The guys were talking about like XCOM. If you had like the figures and you were in the Iron Man mode, that if you died with your figure, the like portal whatever would just melt your action figure down, and it like you lose all your data on it. I thought that was kind of funny.
Permadeath.
The thing that would make I'm surprised why if it's not in the works, they're crazy. But then again, when has Nintendo ever been reasonable? Is Pokemon?
Yeah.
Why 100? Like how many? 650 something Pokemon. Sorry if I don't have the exact number. Putting out all those toys, and so now it's like the whole thing is the game is about collecting your Pokemon, raising them, and now you have that physical embodiment of it. You're gonna be like, if you're a kid, you're gonna like want to take that around your house. And the Pokemon Stadium games were made just so you could see your Pokemon in 3D. Imagine like they made like a little battle arena where you could like stick multiple of your action figures on there to make your team, and then like that seems like the next like evolution of Pokemon for. I hate using the term evolution. That seems like the next big thing for Pokemon if they want to rake in even more money and just dominate the world with that franchise. What I would actually like to see done with it in terms of that game would be like maybe an SRPG, like Fire Emblem or like the game Valkyria Chronicles, like having those characters and being able to join with one of my friends. We could form a team of all of our best characters. So you have like a virtual board, and you set your team on there, and then they're
When you say
represented
virtual board, though, do you mean on the TV screen, or do you mean
there's
a
like
non-virtual board in front of you?
I'm trying not to use the term portal because the portal powers, that's the name for the Skylanders
But the physical
version.
interface.
Yeah, the physical interface. You put them down on there. Your team then appears in the game on the map, so you're not having to like move them around. I would never want to do that. It'd be so damn tedious. And then you can interact with by interacting with other players. You share data basically, and then you can unlock abilities like SRPGs. Like when you're near a certain character and unlocks like a unique ability, like you could that's the only way you could get that ability, and then you save it onto that character. So if you go join someone else's game, maybe it's like a third level move you can get, like something to promote like multiplayer and cooperation in SRPGs, which traditionally hasn't been there. I mean, a few of them have tried online competitive, like Valkyria Chronicles 2 tried something like that with a Fog of War mode. But I think that'd be a new way to have like a cooperative play with multiplayer and bring that to like SRPGs. And
well, I mean, you've seen those Japanese arcade games, right, with the cards and they're all swapping them around and stuff like that. I guess you could kind of make that even more physical.
I think the kid inside me is like, oh, a toy would be cool, rather than just like a card. I've never been too big of a fan of this card. So,
Justin, do you have anything that you think this tech would be?
Well, I mean, I feel like we're still talking about toys, whether they're Transformers or Pokemon or whatever. And to me personally, this is kind of like a level of investment I'm probably not personally willing to go to, no matter what the thing is. I mean, I'm sure strategy guys maybe would want, the like tank miniatures or something for war game. But to me, I mean, I feel like you can accomplish all of this with just digital things. I'd love an XCOM if I could like share my XCOM unit with someone else. I don't think I need a physical toy to do that. I mean, it's cool tech, and I think it's well suited to toys. And I think if I were a kid at the time when this came out, I would probably, be into that. I kind of like to collect things.
You put across a very valid point that perhaps it isn't for everybody. And I think me. I mean, back home in my little games room, I have like a bunch of statuettes from whether it be Star Wars, Doctor Who, and I think some of the Marvel stuff. And I think as a grown-up who is into comic books and collects these, happy to collect these statuettes of figurines, whatever. I think that would be something cool that would perhaps open it up to a bigger, wider audience. But you do present a valid point. This isn't for everybody.
Well, what I miss is memory cards. Like you could have a PlayStation 2 memory card and you could plug it in and have all your data and stuff. I just like to have my data readily accessible without having to sign in through a million layers. So I don't know. I mean, if a physical object can do that, that's great. But in terms of putting it on a portal, you'd see your virtual memory card on the screen. I don't know. But it's definitely cool tech.
Ryan.
Yeah, Justin I'm going to kind of echo Justin's comments where I think it's really cool, but it's not for me. I do remember we had a rumor going around for a while that the new Tony Hawk game, which ended up being Tony Hawk HD, the HD remake, was that it was going to be the little skateboards, and
fingerboards.
Yeah, like that Cavala or whatever. And I think tapping into the adult market, there is definitely a collector's market, but kids buy toys. Not all adults who play video games are collectors, but kids who, I mean, the Venn diagram for kids that are playing video games that also like toys is huge.
Yeah.
Where I think it would be interesting, I mean, Pokemon is the no-brainer, but I would also think, again, going for that mentality would be, I think it'd be interesting if they did it with sports games, which I know sounds a little weird, but I don't think people would collect a ton of them, but maybe you make them a little more expensive. Do you guys remember, like, starting lineup? Yeah. If you had your favorite, people are so into Madden.
Muscle figures.
People are so into Maddens or so into NBA Jam, not NBA Jam, NBA 2K.
Right.
That maybe they only buy their one or two of the guys they like. I mean, the thing is, there's like 700 baseball players and so many football players and stuff. So I don't know how viable it is, but you could maybe do like the starting lineup and have
Yeah, you buy like an emblem for your team, and perhaps you can even program it on your own console, where it's like, this is my team, save it to that, and then take it off.
And you could like put your My Little Pony on it, and that'd be your team's mascot.
That would be awesome. Strawberry shortcake for the win.
I do think that if you could make, I mean, how much is an action figure? It's like $7 for one, and like you buy the pack for
packs, like $10 or $15 for a pack of 2 or 3.
If there was a random aspect to it, like if you go to like Kid Robot and you get the little the little plastic toys.
Like Gashapon.
Yeah. If they were cheap and it was something like, again, I think like if you made it more of an optional technology, like I'd honestly probably hate to see this in Dark Souls. I mean, like if you could buy weapons or something like that, but like if there was like little weapons or something, not maybe characters, but maybe like accoutrements or something, and buy some random stuff, maybe it does become a cosmetic thing. I think Chris wants them. I don't know, but I don't know.
Chris has an idea.
Dungeons and Dragons loot, equip them based on what loot you're.
Chris wants Dungeons and Dragons loot. Again, and I keep forgetting what the technology's called. When we've only seen it on the Wii gamepad for the leaked raving rabbits thing.
It's RFID is the thing, but near field communications.
Near field communications.
The broader.
So we know it's coming for the Wii U gamepad, or at least it's been.
It's in there.
Yeah, we haven't seen it being implemented except for the leaked trailer,
and
right?
Apparently they said that was just like internal concept. That's not how it actually is going to be.
So I mean, I think we will see it beyond Skylanders, and it will be way more universal.
It depends. I mean, because Activision obviously own the company that created this, so would they license it off, or somebody got their own?
I'm sure there's ways around those patents.
Bigger and better versions.
But again, I collect enough stuff. Collecting little figurines for game stuff is not for me at this point. But hey, if Justin said, if I was 9 years old, I would be all over Skylanders.
I gotta say, my inner.
So what do we rate the game? What's the score? I'm just super curious right now. It's okay, right?
It's a decent game. It's virtually the same.
I know we weren't going to go there.
It's the same game as last year, and last year was.
But it's bigger, right? Giants.
They have the bigger Giants. They have a few new gimmicks to it. I mean, it's like a loot-based dungeon crawler, essentially, a top-down action game.
And approachable for younger people.
It's very basic, very simple. It's approachable for anyone. It is geared a little bit towards younger audiences. For the most part, then the difficulty spike. Like the last one, like 2/3 of the way, the difficulty spikes and actually becomes like a
challenge?
It's not necessarily a challenge. It's kind of just flat out cheap. But the way you get around it is the more toys you have, like each toy represents a life.
It's like get KO'd and then you get another guy in there.
So
right?
the rich kid's gonna always.
But it also works with it also works with the Skylanders toys from last year as well, from the Spyro ones. So they also work with the new game as well.
Let's just call them the G1 figures all work in the new
Bumblebee.
game. All the G2 figures, the Giants don't work on the old one. And I believe the G2 smaller ones might work on the old one, but you can't bring. I'm sure there's probably like data you can't bring. Like the level cap in the original game is only 10. It's 15 now in the new one. So if you have like like I'm curious. Let's try it out. Like I had the old Spyro character. I got him up to like level 15 by the end of Giants, and I should probably just go see if you put him back. He's probably just capped at level 10. The older characters can't learn any. If you maxed out their skill tree, you can't learn any new abilities in the new game. But if you buy like the same version of that figure but different pose, they have like you start from level 1, but you can like unlock new skills that are unique to Giants. So
Can I ask you one last question?
Yo.
Would you want a missing no statue?
missing number
Yeah.
statue, just in general.
If
just a
the
statue?
Pokemons existed,
The
if the
Pokemons
Pokemon
existed?
toys existed.
Well, he's actually.
It should like glitch the game and stuff. Like when you put on, and I know it comes with a bag of candy. There you go.
Okay.
Yo, you don't know the rare candy thing. All right. Well,
All right. Well, I think Star Wars, any of the comic book heroes, that would probably also make a shitload of money for whoever.
Hey lad, over here. Come down into the station.
Okay, next up, we're actually going to do something that's kind of unique. We're going to talk about a Wii U game.
Really? Which one?
what's Wii U?
We are going to talk about Zombie U, and in particular, Justin, you are going to talk about Zombie U. So go ahead.
Oh, okay.
That was a good segment.
Yeah. It's a game
no, so, I
with
mean,
zombies.
so,
on
I
Wii
mean,
U.
And you.
So
Yeah.
you've obviously you're previewing it. You got to play it. There was an event.
Yeah, I went to an event and played it.
Okay.
I've experienced some of the game. Also, I mean, in our history of zombies thing, we had it's apparently, I didn't know, there's an older zombie game by Ubisoft
Yeah.
that's really old and I had never heard of. So this is apparently
What was that called?
called
Zombie.
Zombie.
With an eye, like the
Oh,
Italian,
okay,
like the
Zombie.
Italian film.
Ah, right.
But it's a lot like that was like a lot like Dawn of the Dead because it took place in like a shopping mall.
I remember was it the LucasArts game? I think it was LucasArts. Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Oh, I don't know who the publisher was.
I can't remember,
Yeah,
but
I think
I
it was-
remember
that was in our
a,
history
that
too.
was a bunch of fun for the
But
Super
yeah.
NES. But
so
we did,
that was interesting.
So a
to
lot of
me.
us had like a little bit of hands-on time
Yeah.
with Zombie U, but like we're talking like 10, 15 minutes. But Justin you got a couple hours.
Yeah, I played a bit.
Was it?
I mean, there were some concerns about control. Do you think those are you get used to it, or is there
Well, I mean,
actually a
the-
control issue? Because that's the biggest deal I think
the
for
game's
a
thing,
Wii U game.
Yeah, the game's thing is I think it's a first-person, immersive, like kind of you're there experience. You use the Wii U pad. Your character actually has a Wii U pad in the game. The guy, the guy that's kind of talking, there's a disembodied voice, and he's trying to help these people survive. When one of your dudes dies, the next one comes along, but he's like, "So I bought a bunch of Wii U pads, and I have it here. So if you pick it up, you can scan the environment. I can hack doors for you. You can also, strangely, you can scan objects like enemies. You can see a little thing floating around, and you tag it, and it's like infected. And you're like, oh, that's a zombie. That's good to know. Or it's like animal contains item, and you're like, oh, cool. If
the animal contains
this
an
item contains meat. I can liberate the meat from this animal. It is a little strange because you can scan like every object in the environment, like it's a filing cabinet, and you scan it, and like no item in here. So you're like, and you actually physically move it around, and you see the view on the pad. There are some you can aim.
So
a
it's like
turret with the
augmented
pad.
reality in an augmented reality.
I mean, it's kind of.
I mean, they've shown it a
interesting.
little bit.
It's kind of interesting, and if you need to fiddle with your inventory or go into your backpack, you actually look down at the pad, you flip down the screen for your backpack, and while you're doing that, I guess you're hoping that there's no one in the world walking around trying to eat you because you're sitting there,
So the
kind
game
of-
doesn't pause up on the
Yeah,
screen
either
when
you're
in the
looking,
backpack.
you're trying to pick a lock, or you're doing whatever. It kind of has the feeling like, okay, I'm really focused on this, and I can't see what's around me. So other than that, though, I mean, Ryan mentioned how the game plays.
Because it's first person.
It is first person.
No, is it a
so there's,
serious
there's
zombie
melee,
game,
there's
though?
shooting.
I mean,
yes,
is it-
it's serious.
is it
It's more or
Left
less
4
serious.
Dead
There's
style?
there's a little bit of humor,
Yeah.
I think, but it's mostly,
So
It's
it's not a
more
serious
camp
thing.
than humor, I think, if that
And-
makes sense.
Yeah, from what I played, it feels more like survival, like a real survival game. Like you actually you can't get if you get bit too many times, you're done.
Yeah, if a zombie gets on you, it's likely you're just instantly
Yeah.
going to get killed. He'll grab you, and you're like, shit, I hope he does. Oops, he did it.
It's not
He
like
did it.
Resident Evil where you can get hit 10 times.
Yeah, you
by an
really
enemy
just
and,
try to
there's
keep
no
guys off of
serious
you.
consequence.
But you always have a cricket bat and your trusty Wii U pad.
cricket bat. That's
Yeah,
the
a standard,
underused weapon.
when your character's born into the world, they're given these.
Well,
Of course,
can you
this
talk
is
about
also-
the-
It's set in London, isn't it?
At least part of it.
It's London that I was in.
How's the permadeath work though? Like, how do you progress if
You know,
you're
they
constantly
kind of,
dying, or is that still a
uh,
little under wraps?
This is the thing. They kind of flirt with the permadeathy, randomization kind of things. That's kind of the awesome trend these days that I'm fully behind. But they don't really completely go there. If your character dies, all the items he'll have are in his backpack. And if you can make it to the same point you were at and kill your previous character, you can loot the backpack. If you get killed again, everything in there is gone.
So it's Dark Souls.
A little bit.
So but you lose that backpack, but then your backpack drops.
Yes, but your backpack probably has nothing in it because you just rush to get your backpack with your you start with like a pistol, 6 bullets or something. So, it's kind of a gamble. But each character, there's nothing that really sets one character apart from another. It's really just, your lives. And you unlock shortcuts, you accomplish things that can't be undone. Those are like your checkpoints. So really, you don't get the feeling you're playing different characters or really having different lives. It's more like you made it to a checkpoint. Sometimes you lose all your stuff, but the important stuff are set items like you can find a hammer to rip apart barriers and accomplish certain things. You'll always find that at a certain point. And I believe once you have it, or you won't be able to get yourself stuck. I don't think you'll be able to find like a super powerful random item. You probably won't find something that's bad for you. While you have different lives to kind of accomplish these big milestones, there's not really that sets each one apart. You're kind of just working with tools, trying to stay alive so you can maintain your advantages and continue making progress.
This control scheme then. So, are you predominantly using the pad for everything? So, with it being a first-person shooter and the aiming always being the most important thing, whether you're using nunchucks or a light gun or whatever, do you use, do you aim with the pad as well, or do you use your finger across it?
If you're using a turret, you'll aim with the pad. I think there might be certain weapons where you use the pad as a scope, but just for normal shooting, you just use the the analog sticks as normal. And I felt that I hadn't used a controller all that much before. It's pretty comfortable to just use as a normal game controller.
Okay.
I don't really feel especially conscious of it. I'm able to just move around, look around freely, do stuff. It feels good. It doesn't feel too heavy, although the ones we had are tethered to the unit. But in
case you steal them.
Yeah, they do a little bit of the bring it up to physically look through it when you're scanning or using certain weapons, but for the most part, typical controls. Yeah, it is a lot of you hit a guy, he flies back, and you just time your next hit. And it really, I kind of wish there was more to it. There's really not much more you can do other than doing your attack and doing a finishing attack once you've hit them exactly 4 times. It seems like every zombie kind of takes the same amount of damage. You're really just trying to keep the guys away from you by hitting them right when they get up to you. You can also hit a button to kind of shove them and just push them away. So it's really, it's kind of a simplistic controlling distance thing. The shooting's typical shooting, but it does have, the immersion thing is pretty interesting, and looking at the pad for your backpack, trying to pick the locks, not knowing what's around you. So
is it, I suppose the $64 million question is it fun? Did you have fun playing? Is this something that now that you've played a little, for a couple of hours, you want to go back and play when the full version's released? Is something that interests you like that?
I think it's one of the more interesting Wii U launch games because it really, it does things with the pad. I think it has some appeal as a game. I did have a few frustrating moments with it, but we'll see how it all pans out in the review. I had some fun with it. It's interesting, I think.
Did you do any multiplayer?
It has some things going for it. Oh, I did some multiplayer too, yeah.
You played as a zombie? Or do you not?
Yeah, I did the Killer Freaks from Outer Space thing. It's pretty much the same thing. It's pretty fun. Yeah, you spawn zombies in, you pick which kind of zombie you want. You kind of level up your zombie boss level, and you can spawn new guys, kind of purchase power-ups and stuff, increase your resource limits.
I'm interested.
So yeah, I had fun mobbing the person
devs?
there. Yeah, mobbing the representatives on hand. You can just tap a bunch of dudes in, and you can see someone walking down an alley. So you spawn a hunter there, and you spawn a bunch of guys that will basically activate. They're cheaper, but they activate when the player gets near them. And you can do some pretty mean stuff.
It's a little dungeon keeper in there, huh?
For some reason, when you talked about multiplayer and coming on from the melee combat, I just had visions of people walking around with the Nintendo, the Wii U pads, and hitting each other with them. Because I think that would make fun multiplayer. Next up, Chris has joined us because him and Justin are going to talk about a game called Chivalry.
Medieval warfare.
Medieval warfare.
Not modern warfare.
Medieval warfare. Well, we all know the modern combat thing is totally done, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
You still get hit by
with,
EMPs, right?
So yeah, I mean, let's talk. What is
Doesn't affect horses.
I got to say this is something that's kind of flown up below my radar because I've been neck deep in another game that I can't talk about till next week. So tell us about Chivalry, and is it dead?
Well, I mean,
You will be dead when you play Chivalry and someone decapitates you with a halberd.
yeah, no, Chivalry was something that came on my radar around PAX East
This year.
earlier this year. Yeah, when I saw it in person, I mean, they had a little booth. Super indie game. But when I saw it being played, I was like, this seems like a really cool idea. And then I saw like the YouTube videos that kind of supported. Pretty much the idea is that it's melee. That's not just like a Elder Scrolls. It's like kind of like you hit or you don't. And
It's a little more analog than digital.
yeah, it feels way. Yeah, it's not like a toggle. Like you either hit or you block or you miss. Like it feels way more deep than that. And I became like super. In love with it when I played it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like you actually have to choose which type of swing you do like it's a PC game, and it's pretty much all melee combat, maces, sort of spears, shielding, all that stuff.
Bows and arrows.
Bows and
even,
arrows.
Horses and bayonets?
Not quite.
No horses.
No
just
horses.
Foot
But I
soldiery in there.
mean, basically,
There's boiling oil though.
yeah. So it's pretty much big multiplayer game. Like you can have up to 64 players on a server. All out melee combat. Like I just think what made me fall in love with the game is character interaction between you and your enemy is something that's not, and it's not an encounter that ends in 2 seconds. It's something that continues for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, up to like minutes. You can keep fighting and you can just end up going back and forth for a while if it's a good duel.
So is
Or you have
it
groups
just duels
clashing
or
on
is
each
it
other.
arena
Oh,
battles?
no, it's like
or
you can
free
have-
for all?
There's objective-based
There's
stuff, storming
objective-based stuff.
castles,
Yeah, and it's not just capture the flag or death.
Let me tell you the awesome mode. The awesome mode that they have is you have a team that's attacking 32v32, a team that's attacking a kingdom, and it starts off with the village, and pretty much it goes objective A, objective B, objective C. But first is A, defend the village or attack the village, and you pretty much have to kill
the peasants.
NPC peasants.
Torch the
You
the
kill
residences,
NPC peasants and you torch their houses, and so the defending team is like trying to save the NPCs while the opposing team is killing NPCs. Then it goes to phase 2, which is you're supposed to get the kind of like in Team Fortress 2 payload where you stand next to the thing and it pushes it along the tracks. Well, this
There's
one
a
it's a
siege
battering
weapon. They're
ram.
trying to move it up on the castle.
So
And
you
the
have to-
castle
And
there,
destroy
there's
the
some
castle
arbaleths on the
gate.
walls.
And you have to defend.
boiling
Yeah,
oil.
and so defend the castle gate or attack the castle gate, and you actually have to push the thing towards the gate and actually have to interact with the thing. And it's awesome. And
You have the cabbage patch.
And while you're doing that, someone
oh,
comes
yeah.
up behind you and
and
splat
slide,
with a
yeah,
warhammer,
And
explodes
then
your
the
head.
third point of just this one particular mode, there's a king, and one of the players on the defending team becomes the king, and king dies, game over, and it's defend the king in the throne room. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah, they did a good job of melding their actual ideas and their gameplay to the actual concepts because it isn't capture the flag. I don't think during the Crusades they captured a lot of
Capture
flags
ye
in the
old
Holy
flag.
Land. It's pretty
Although,
impressive. I like
seems
any
the better.
first-person game that isn't shooting. I mean, the arrows are pretty funny though, even though I heard that may be a bug we're having.
Well, everyone,
The audio bug?
we thought the audio was kind of funny
Remember
because it
the
was repeated, didn't really make too much sense.
It's like a
but
soundboard.
people, some of
arrow
the,
sound,
But yeah, it's funny because you made the joke about is Chivalry dead. Is Patrick kept bringing this up again and again. It's like the community around this game is actually into
yeah,
this.
let's
They're really
talk
into
about
honor.
Let's talk about the duel servers.
They'll
real
duel
quick.
people to they'll
Taunt
bang
and
on their shields and stuff, and then or they'll
This is-
throw
yeah,
down
this
their
is going
weapons and
to a
they'll do
separate
fisticuffs.
Yeah.
mode
I
completely.
think we're allowed to say fisticuffs at this point.
Oh,
too.
there's
Yes,
a
you
good amount
can.
of
You can
fisticuffs
duel
happening.
to the death with your gauntlet-clad fists, punch people to death. They have these duel servers where it's the etiquette. Players have basically created this game mode. You do a battle shout to challenge a player. The other player shouts back, and they're like, "Okay, we'll duel." It's not cool to just go around the map killing people. You'll get kicked from the server. Instead, you engage in a duel. If you come out on top, you look for the next person, and you're like, "Wah!" They're like, "Wah!" And then you run at each other, and you have your little one-on-one
Yeah,
fight.
it's definitely
and
a
these
good
people
feel.
are,
But even in the
improving their skills.
Even in the team-based one, I saw when Patrick's team had 4 guys left and the other team had 1 guy left, and they went one-on-one instead of just encircling him
Yeah.
at the end.
Well, they could do that.
That-
definitely.
Oh,
That's
it's
an age-old
went
mistake.
it's went both ways, but it was interesting.
Yeah.
No, this is
And you can yell. We did say that, right?
Yeah, the shouting is.
Patrick likes to vibrate his mouse when he does it.
He takes RP to like level 2 when he plays this game.
So this is a PC game. Is it through Steam or is it just
Through Steam. They had a Kickstarter, but yeah, you can get it through Steam right now. It's $25.
Yeah.
Ain't too bad.
It sounds. It sounds.
It's on the upper
but it's
upper
it's
end.
definitely
I think it's worth it.
I mean,
Oh,
obviously
hell
it's.
yeah.
I mean,
I mean-
the look of your face. I mean, I don't think
It's
I've
pretty
seen
exciting.
you
I
this
really
animated since that strip club in Boston.
It's multiplayer only though. Though the tutorial showed a lot of promise. It was
yeah,
actually
tutorial's
really
pretty
impressive.
cool,
It was a really nuanced tutorial, and it's obviously single player tutorial. And you said a bunch of mod tools, right?
I mean, yeah, like
Or down the line?
Yeah, well, down the line because the game is really open because it's using the Unreal, SDK. But there's people already planning and they're trying to import because the game was a Half-Life 2 mod. Age of Chivalry, I think is what it's called. And I mean, I was reading the forums and people were saying, yeah, they recreated the Battle of Helm's Deep. Like modders really took it to a next level with that game. And this game is way more open because it's a standalone, it's its own actual game.
Yeah.
It's not just a mod. And so people are talking about custom skins. People are talking Game of Thrones, which makes me super, super excited. I'm just waiting for the community to
Don't
explode
hold
with it.
don't hold your breath on that one because obviously we know that there's certain people are very protective of their
Yeah,
IP.
cease
just
and
call it.
desist
You just
always
call it
suck.
King of Thrones.
Well, I mean,
and
and
you
it's,
change some
well,
content.
it's different when there's when it's totally free to play.
Yeah.
You can actually get away with it through.
Yeah,
a
but if people are just
non-commercial
modding,
license.
if people are just modding maps,
Yeah.
What
If
are you
it's
gonna
not
do?
part of
What are you gonna
the
As long as
actual
they don't
package
have,
itself,
you
I don't
know,
know.
financial
Net stock.
interest.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Gurm is
you can always
probably
change
cool
it
with it.
enough, and people will still get the idea, maybe.
Maybe Gurm plays it.
But it's funny after coming off of just talking about Zombie U or like Dishonored, which had okay sword combat. Like again, it's all about that. The word
really cool,
the word
man.
visceral is one of the shittiest words you can use in video game
It's like
criticism.
gritty.
But once in a while, it is the word that fits when you're in. It is a first-person perspective, and you can feign. You can.
Oh, yeah.
You can
Yeah,
do
you
a
can stop
fake
your
swing.
swing, yeah.
It's like if anyone played Die by the Sword back in the day, I mean, it's real sword combat, and they've mapped it to simple enough controls that you can pick it up and do it. It's interesting. It's
With
really
your
cool.
mouse, you choose whether to slash,
Could it work
overhand, or
up, do
stab.
like a thrust?
Could this
you
work with a
can
controller?
bash a guy with
I
a
never
shield.
even thought about it.
I mean, Justin makes the argument that
I
you
feel
can.
like it
I
could,
think
but I
it'd be
mean,
hard.
you do want to adjust your view really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because-
whether or not it's realistic for a guy to pivot 180 degrees in full armor in
Sure,
like
sure,
0.1 second. I don't know. Maybe it's not, but yeah, I mean, you don't want to give up any advantages though.
No, is this a resource hog?
Oh no, I mean, as much as the Unreal Engine normally.
You're
takes,
playing
so-
it on your old laptop, right? at
I'm
home?
playing on my old laptop.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, because
Yeah.
that's always good to know.
Can you
I mean,
play Left 4 Dead 2? You should be okay. I mean, that's the source engine. But I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I can play Left 4 Dead 2. I can play Chivalry. You're good.
And talking about Left 4 Dead 2, I understand that's free on Steam this weekend.
Yeah, go play it.
Yeah, Chivalry is not free on Steam. Left 4 Dead 2 is. Just clarifying.
That's good.
But play both.
Yes.
Shit, he's running. Through the gate.
Okay, last topic of the week. And this is the one that has Justin filled with all sorts of creamy, gooey joy. Justin.
You're lying.
I know I am. It's called sarcasm, dear boy. You've been playing Medal of Honor Warfighter.
It's actually Warfighter.
Warfighter?
Yeah,
Okay.
Is that a Star Trek joke? Or
it could be.
Also, something to do with where boats dock?
Sure. Warf.
Oh no, we've got a case of the Warfighters. How is it? I mean, this is obviously the one that EA pulled the shenanigans, didn't send review code out until Tuesday.
To be fair, there was a giant day one patch.
Well, this is a 1.2 gig of HD content that when you
Well, that was the texture pack.
Well, that's
But,
just
they-
that's just what those
but,
guys
they
do
s-
to get their.
They
There was
did
a
say
patch
it was
there.
but they said there was I think they said there was a HD pack was the.
It's HD actually. No, I'm just I'm just joking.
But
It's an
anyway, I mean, if
aspirated
you look at the
age.
patch notes, I mean, there was a lot of stuff that needed to be fixed in there. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a
maybe a
monument. It's a
little-
16 gig game
Maybe
anyway.
a little bit of bugs, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's your thoughts? I'm guessing
It's
they
not
got
the
round.
best. It's not the best game. I mean, since the way we do our reviews, we just want to tell people, is this game competent? Is it worth your money? And I mean, it's kind of tough to say. There's really no reason this game should exist, I think. I mean, this is kind of a sad way to waste millions of dollars developing another one of these games. There's one or two maybe interesting things it does, and I can't say the actual gameplay itself is bad. But, I mean, just because a game has good controls doesn't mean that it's worth your time. I mean, it's kind of like if someone hands you a really nice pair of scissors and a magnifying glass, and you're like, wow, this is fine quality. This magnifying glass is great. And then they're like, yes, now please go outside and mow my lawn. And you're like, oh. I mean, it might feel great. That might be really
That's the
nice.
box
Scissors are
for-
sharp,
wow.
you know.
Analogy of the week.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's just there's not much sense of pace. They have some car missions, which are pretty cool. They actually have first-person driving, and I think is it the Need for Speed team? They had got some guys who know driving to put these segments in there, which are pretty cool. There's one thing with a kind of car stealth where you're trying to evade these cars. You're looking at your mini-map a lot. You kind of pull off and park on the side. It's an interesting idea and it's fun, but most of it is just like slog through, hundreds of headshots. And no matter how ruthlessly efficient you are, I mean, it just feels like work. There's no end to the just swarms of terrorists, and you keep shooting them, and you're like, there's a nice kind of peek and lean mechanic where you hold, instead of L1 to bring up the sights, you hold the bumper or the left bumper, and then you can freely kind of with an analog stick peek up over objects, move to the side of objects, and that's really nice, and I appreciate it. But while it's good, the shooting, it's like this feels competent. There are levels. So, the game looks nice oftentimes, but if
Frostbite
you
still looks good.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, the Frostbite
they're
engine
doing.
has looked
It's
great.
not.
for-
It's not
you know.
bad, but it's just there's so much out there that's better. The story is, not so great. Someone asked me, I think they're like, oh, "Are you in space now?" Kind of hinting at the big, huge things that Modern Warfare goes for the kind of crazy stuff. I'm like,
Oh,
nope,
okay.
I'm just on a boat with somehow they packed 200 terrorists in this boat. I go to one side of it, and then I go back, and they've piped in 80 more, and you just keep killing the dudes in the boats and the deserts and the whatever. They're always, it's super heavily scripted. You're only putting yourself in danger if you try to do things your own way, go around to the side. There's probably a wall there. You're probably just going to get, your partner will refuse to move up. Some guy will run behind you, be shooting you back of the head. Your partner will be like, just sitting there.
So,
Just wait for the game to tell you to do something. They tell you to chase a guy, you chase him, but really what the objective is not chase this target, it's walk into ambush. You do that about 5 times, and then you get a cutscene where your guy can finally catch him only in a cutscene.
Yeah, there's like
It's
zero tactics,
it's
right?
It's just really tiresome. It's the same thing. And while the gameplay is not bad, it's just, there's really no reason for this game to exist.
Chris
It's
is holding his
kinda
head
sad.
in his hands.
Oh.
So let me ask the question: is this is it about time that Medal of Honor is a franchise that's taken out the back and shot? I mean, or is it something that needs to be put in hibernation? Because obviously the EA are trying to compete with Activision, have Battlefield 1 year, Medal of Honor the other year to go against Call of Duty, Black Ops, and Modern Warfare. I don't think it's worth it.
I mean, Battlefield can stay. Battlefield's cool,
Yeah.
but it's kind of a different flavor. But this is just like I guess it's kind of the the Modern Warfare-y kind of Battlefield, and the multiplayer. It's a lot smaller maps. It's more focused combat.
CQB.
But and then the multiplayer again. It's good. It's fine. The weapons feel good. Like everything else, it's like a huge, terrible treadmill to unlock different classes and different weapons. And you play for a few hours. It's like, can I have a new type of sight on this gun? Like, nope. Well, 50,000 more points to go. So I mean, it's perfectly. You can play the game. You can enjoy the multiplayer. But maybe you already have games like this, or maybe there are better games like this that you could try. It's.
I wonder why EA included the Battlefield 4 beta with this.
Beta and
Bias.
Switch.
I
Beta
wonder
and
why.
Switch.
And speaking of the betas, I remember someone's playing, Mike's playing Zone of the Enders 2, and Zone of the Enders 1, Zone of the Enders HD collection. And Zone of the Enders 1 was essentially like a $50 Metal Gear Solid 2 demo. That you really wanted to play, Metal Gear Solid 2, and you bought, guess I'll
Okay, so
eat the loss.
all right.
Yeah, I don't recommend it that much.
When's the review going up? Do you think? I know you're still writing it because
Yeah, I'm
again,
still
it was
writing
an
it.
absolute punk play by EA to
Well,
to
it didn't
hold
help
us
that
back.
then there was an Xbox update, and then our
Oh, yeah,
firewall was
we had some
eating
technical
our
problems,
Xbox.
but, I don't know. Should go up sometime. But if you're watching the show, you don't really need to watch the review. It's not really, yeah, just.
All right, Wolf Eiter, yuck. All right, while we recover from that, and poor Justin, we're going to go and wrap him in a blanket and give him a cookie. Do we have any housekeeping that we need to talk about, Ryan?
Yeah, you guys may be seeing some Halo 4 reviews going up around the web, and you may not see ours going up, and that's because there was some restrictions that these publishers are doing more and more, and it had to do with, we're a video site, and we like to capture our own footage, and
I love capturing my own footage.
we just wanted to make sure that we can accurately portray what our scripts say, and for that we need to be able to have, a certain amount of
Leeway?
Leeway, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
To show what we're talking about. So expect our review as soon as we can get it done with all the trappings that you'd expect.
Well, next week we are talking Assassin's Creed 3. We are talking Halo 4. Shane will be back because I know he'll be playing AC3, so I'm sure he and I will have a lively debate unless we both totally agree on the game. I'm not allowed to talk about it until next week. We got anything else, or is that it?
No, just stay tuned. Everyone, again, watch Shift. Get ready for Timeline. We got some other new shows in the works. You have something, right? You've been doing something called AG.
AG?
Yeah.
Oh
right?
yes, that Annoyed Gamer. Well, yeah, I just recorded next week's episode today. That goes up every Wednesday, and I'm sure a lot of you watch it and laugh your ass off. Thank you for those who do. Don't forget GT Film Fest coming up in LA. Come see us. Seriously, we had such a good time at PAX, hanging out with people who give a shit and followed our shows. So thank you for that. And the GT app, it's still up in the App Store. It's still actually pretty cool. It's always cool actually when I open the app and I see Annoyed Gamer right at the top there because I open it on a Wednesday because I'm a vain bastard.
Do you ever Google yourself?
I haven't Googled myself in a while.
In bed?
I mean, it's funny when somebody, it's interesting to see how other people perceive you. So yeah, I'll do it every now and again to see, if there are forum posts because, I mean, I know a lot of people don't like reading comments, but I actually read them because it's good that they're, you look at 20 tons of trolling, but you'll find half a dozen really good posts where people make good constructive criticism. And for those guys, it's worth trolling through the shit for, so. All right, we're not up and out. I'm not in the pub, but I think we're about to be. See you next week. This is the Invisible Walls crew saying ciao.
See this and other GT shows and game reviews on the GT Originals iOS app, available now on the App Store.